You didn't choose your name, you didn't choose your nationality, and you definitely didn't choose your own personality traits. So why are you ready to go to war defending them when you didn't pick them for yourself to begin with? Hey guys, my name is Anna. Welcome back to another YouTube video. I have my full little setup now with my beautiful camera, which I'm so excited to use. Basically, I wanted to talk a little bit today about your chosen identity and go a little bit in depth on choosing the things that you don't normally choose for yourself, but also why you are the way you are based on past experiences, based on past knowledge, and past environments you may have put yourself in to begin with. So I hope you like today's video. Thanks. Okay, so identity, what is it? Basically, it's the things that have shaped us to become who we are, what we identify ourselves as. This is me as a person, this is Anna, this is Susie, this is Jamal, things like that. Basically, we can look at a person and say that's who they are or that's what we know them as. And what shapes our identity is either inherited objectives that we learned from our parents, basically what they've been through in their lives that they taught us growing up, like what have they put on us as restrictions, or what have they adopted us into within their culture, their ecosystem, their environment. Identity can also be shaped through past experiences, like say I was in a car wreck, or say you had a breakup with your boyfriend. That might have shaped who you are now to either put up walls or barriers, or that might have shaped to consistently wear your seatbelt. It's basically these little habits and these little actions that shape us to become who we are, what we self-identify as. And I'm not talking about like the she, her, him, his points of view. I'm talking about what is your character? Who are you as a person? That's that kind of identity that I mean, like what makes us human. And I feel like a lot of this is illusion of choice. Like, did we choose to be sensitive, or did we choose to be very hard on the outside with a very good external figure, things like that? Or did we choose to be introverted, or did we choose to be extroverted? Like, what made us to choose that decision? Like, were you shaped by family, environment, culture, trauma, things you've been going through? I feel like that has given us the identity that makes us who we are, because we thought that we chose that for ourselves. Like, we thought we want to be extroverted, or did we just get eluded to make that choice? Like, if we are constantly by ourselves growing up our entire life, you might want to be a little bit more extroverted as you get older. Or were your parents keeping you consistently restrained by all these rules and regulations that makes you a little bit more free and want to do more things as you get older? So it's the whole illusion of choice that makes us make the decisions that we want to have for our lives, and makes us make the decisions that inevitably make us who we are. So why do we cling to these identities? Like, why do we cling to being extroverted? Why do we cling to being sensitive? Why do we cling to having a hard heart? Why do we cling to these? Typically, it's because of comfort. Like, we don't like to feel uncomfortable as humans, and that's the worst part about it, because nobody ever wants to get out of their comfort zone. Personally, for me, in my own experience, I've been extroverted my entire life. Like, my parents raised me to go talk to people, to be very social, to be very outgoing and optimistic, which is great, and I'm very glad that they did it. But now, as I get older, personally, because I've been pushed so much to get out and do things, all I want to do is keep my peace. All I want to do is really be by myself. I really find I get the most energy and the most abundance comes to me whenever I am by myself and I am learning more about myself and I am doing that self-development and hard work. But typically it's those things that shape us who we are, and we need to actually get out of our comfort zone. We need to do things different to be able to shape our identity for being able to feel secure, and it's something that feels good. But in reality, our ego needs to cling to something, and it needs to have that stronghold to consistently feed it. Our ego needs to be so comfortable and so full of pride, so that way we can continue to have the same identity as we did when we get older. Inevitably, identity becomes armor. That's what our ego turns into. When pride continues to take over, when we are not constantly evolving, our identity remains stagnant, and that becomes an armored shell around us, even if it is limiting. Our identity and our ego, it will turn into an armor that is going to prohibit us from actually evolving. And that's why a lot of people get stuck in their lives. So how does this type of armor affect our relationships in our everyday life? So you'll notice a lot in arguments, people will conform to their identity because that's their systems, that's their roots, that's what they know as. That's what everybody falls back to as a defense mechanism. Because again, that identity is our ego, it's our armor. That is what is protecting us. So you'll find a lot, especially in arguments or in disagreements, people will conform back to that identity, even if it harms them, even if it harms the other person. People will say like, oh, that's just how I am. An ex-boyfriend or a boyfriend who is narcissistic, or same with a girlfriend, will probably just be like, oh, that's who I am as a person and you have to deal with it, because they're saying that is who they are. That is what their armor looks like. That is what they're built around. There's no excuse. There's no reason behind it. It's just, that's how it is. And in reality, it's the truth, because they don't have any other way of feeding their identity. They don't have any growth. They don't have that open mind. They're so limited on what they can do and what they can say that to them, it's the truth. When we see it, but it just doesn't make sense. It's like, why would you even say that when there's so many other possibilities? Like if I'm in an argument with a boyfriend, I don't have a boyfriend, but when I'm in an argument with a boyfriend and he would go, that's just how I am, that's just how I am, I'm looking at him in almost disbelief, because I'm confused, because there's so many different ways to go about that argument. There's so many different ways to go about that conversation. It's almost like I'm in shock, like, are you stupid? But I'm not going to actually say that. But that's what I'm thinking. But to them, it's their truth, whereas to us, it's completely out of the blue. It's completely random. We look at them as if you really can't grow as a person, but to their mind, that's how limited they are. That's what they have to go back to, because that armor and their ego has limited them to that amount of space. They can only hold so much capacity because they're not wanting to change. They're not wanting to go out of their external environment. They're not wanting to heal from past trauma. So that's who they become, and that becomes their identity. A lot of people, if they don't recognize what is going on, if they don't want to make a change, if they don't want to try something different, that will lead them to division amongst everybody and division amongst the people that they love most. And it leads to self-sabotage. And that can be very harmful to a person. And that's why I think therapy is amazing. Like, I used to watch a lot of YouTube videos, and this video is not sponsored by any means, but I used to watch a lot of YouTube videos, and I actually ended up getting a therapist, and it was probably one of the best things ever. And I don't do it to heal from past traumas. I've already been through a lot, and I feel like I've gotten pretty good with that, but it helps me realize that there's more change that I need to be doing for myself. Basically, it's realizing that there's more that can shape me as a person, and not just what I've been taught or what I've been through my entire life. Like, my identity is more than just my experiences. My identity is found in something greater. And whether you believe in the universe, I believe in God, I believe that my identity comes from Christ. I believe that my identity comes from God, and that's where I'm able to put as my forefront and my stronghold to say, I'm able to do more, I'm capable of more. But when somebody doesn't have that growth mindset, or that idea that this is possible and they are able to do more, that's when it becomes detrimental, and they start self-sabotaging themselves. They destroy relationships, they lash out, they start becoming abusive. And that's really scary to see as a person, and it kind of hurts the other people that they're in. Not kind of, it does. It hurts the other people when they're in those relationships, or you're in those friendships, whether it's verbal, whether it's emotional, whether it's physical, or whether it's just neglect. Like, it does become abusive because they're self-sabotaging themselves and their capacity to love others and their capacity to help others. And I feel like that's something a lot of people need to become more aware of like, hey, if I'm not growing as a person, I'm going to hurt the people around me the most. And I'm not saying that to scare you, but if you're not constantly evolving, how do you expect to be better for the people around you, be better for your family, be better for your friends, be better for your significant other? It just becomes really hard to become that higher version, to support that type of relationship with problems, with flaws, with conflicts. Because if you can't grow outside of your own normality, how do you expect to support someone else? I talked about this in another one of my videos, but basically it was like, we have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I feel like a lot of people have this common misconception that who you were growing up is who you're going to be for the rest of your life. There are so many people out there that are 60 years old that are nowhere near like what they used to be at 40. But then there are a lot of people that are 60 years old that are exactly the same way as they were at 40. But see, that's the thing. They don't want to get uncomfortable. They don't want to try new things or experience different objectives or goals in their life because they want to be comfortable. Do you want to be comfortable? That's the question. It's really, do you want to be in the same place as you are today, a year, 2, 3 years down the road? Do you want to hold on to this identity that you have that has shaped who you are as a person when you're at a later point in life? Like, if I'm looking at myself now, do I want to be in this exact same position at 30? Absolutely not. So why would I do the same thing over and over and over again to have that same identity over and over and over again at 30? I don't want that for myself. And it baffles me when some people do, because it's just like a repeat pattern. Some people want to be like that and some people are like that, which is perfectly fine. No hate to them. But to me, I like to see as there's so much abundance. There's so many opportunities. Everything is going to work out for you perfectly the way it's supposed to. So why would you conform your identity to the smaller things in life when in reality you can just explore, expand, try new things, get uncomfortable, be in that discomfort to shape your identity into something more amazing, something as a higher version of yourself. Whatever people talk about you, especially in your hometown, or what they say about you whenever you were a certain person, like, oh my gosh, you've changed. Whenever somebody texts me like, Anna, you've changed, I sure as hell hope so. I don't want to be the same person that you remember me as. I don't even want to be the same person I was a year ago. So when I think down the future, I want to shape my identity. I want to change it. I want to be uncomfortable and in discomfort. And I think some people should have the same idea, just because that's really going to push you to what you want to achieve and what you want to become. Identity isn't bad. It's just not the whole story. When we are able to detach ourselves from labels, we are actually able to step into a room of growth and a room of expansion and greater capacity to support other people. I honestly found freedom in questioning who I am as a person. Like, I thought my identity was entirely bodybuilding. I thought my identity was entirely my scholastics, my learning, my knowledge, my brains. And sometimes you do get a little bit, I want to say, conceited when you start growing up. And then sometimes females get put on that, hey, your identity is entirely your beauty. And I don't believe that. I don't believe that your entire identity is one thing. I believe that you need that, I don't want to say manifestation, but I believe you need that stronghold. You need that fortress, and you need that pillar that's going to be able to always fall back on. And for me, that's Christ. That might be the universe for you. But again, identity is not the whole story. There's so many other things that can contribute to become your identity, whether you're a caring person, a kind person, or a loving person, but that just doesn't make who you are. Like, there's so much that it comes into question when it becomes more about the character, when it becomes about the personality traits. When you start learning who you are and you start doing things that you love or things that make you happy or trying things new, you'll find out more about yourself than really anybody will. You're the only person that's going to be with yourself for the rest of your life. So why not learn more about who you are and grow into either a new identity if you want to change the position that you're in, or grow into a new perspective of not only how the world works, or a new perspective about learning how to love others. I feel like that's the best thing not only you could do for yourself, but other people as well, because now you're able to have the most unbiased point of view when handling relationships, when handling other people, when having disagreements and conflicts, and you're able to actually see the world from a point of abundance and beauty. So I'm actually curious if you guys want to say anything in the comments. I know I don't get a lot of viewers, but I'm completely fine with that. So I'm curious to know, what parts of your identity, after listening to kind of what I just rambled about, do you feel like you didn't choose, or you feel like, hey, this might be a new point that I've never thought of before, that you feel like maybe I should explore this area a little bit more? One thing I love is like shadow journaling or shadow prompting, and it's the best thing ever. I even go into ChatGPT and do this, but trying to ask yourself, did I choose to be this way? Or am I this way because of past experiences, trauma, relationships, conflicts? So being able to have different questions to ask yourself, like, did I choose this? Or did I choose to become extroverted? Or I don't really like this about myself. Why am I this way? And how can I change it? Like, just journaling little questions like that, it honestly opens your mind up to so much more. And one thing I tell all my friends, especially when they want to start journaling, I learned this back from a professor. and it's called stream of consciousness. Basically what you do is you pick up a pen and you just start writing, like writing, my day's great, blah, 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 like whatever comes to your mind. But once the timer starts, you cannot pick up your pen for 10 minutes or your pencil. You have to keep writing. So even if your mind blanks and you're like, I don't know what else to write, literally write, I don't know what to write, I don't know what to write, I don't know what to write. But if you continuously do this and you don't stop writing, your brain is going to fill those gaps, and you're immediately going to start being able to think of things, and you're going to be able to go into deeper into your consciousness, into your subconsciousness of like, what am I actually thinking? And then read it after and just see what you write and see how cool it is. I told one of my friends this, he tried it. It was absolutely amazing. He said, oh my goodness, I need to do this a lot more. Your hand will hurt after, but it will open up your mind to new possibilities. Well, as much as I would love to sit here and quote philosophers and famous journalists and even the best speakers in the world, I just don't have time, and I have another meeting I have to hop on. But other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you guys love my little video for today. And remember, if you like this video, you can thumbs it up and subscribe if you want. But I really just did this to document my journey, some things I learned, and I really hope you guys can take away a little bit from me as I go through my life. But aside from that, love you guys. Bye.